Well, this is CitizenKline. I can't look at you much because I'm driving. I'm driving down to Hammondsport, New York, the most beautiful small town in America, so they say. And it's kind of a gem of a place. I'm in Geneva right now at 44 Castle Street, the home of CitizenKline. And who is CitizenKline? Well, he keeps right on changing for the better or the worst. Never known if going up is worth the coming down. So who am I? That's the big question. That's the big question we all have, isn't it? We all kind of wonder who we are from time to time and whether they love us enough or whether they don't love us enough or if we're underappreciated. Today I heard an interesting thing politically, and that's the only reason I'm doing this kind of movie. I'm at a red light right now or I wouldn't be looking at you. And what the movie was what the internet thing was the Republican Governors Association had some papers that leaked that weren't supposed to go out there regarding the quid pro quo that goes on in government. And please, the only reason that I say it's Republicans is because they got caught. I'm absolutely sure that the true feelings of politicians is never known. These people are, they're just kind of I don't know what the adjective to use for them, but they're not very nice people. Now it's gonna be a long movie because I'm taking off to about 30 minutes, and I'll be driving through Penn Yan, which is abbreviated for Pennsylvania Yankee, a little town called Bologna, which is about 6 miles from Penn Yan, or 6 miles, I guess, from Penn Yan, and about 6 miles to Geneva, New York. Geneva, New York is there's only really I can't think of many good things about Geneva, except there's a beautiful lake here called Seneca Lake. It's at the north end of it, and then the other end is Watkins Glen, where they race cars, and they used to go through town when I was a kid and killed a few people one day and coming down the hill around the bend on 14 there, and that took care of that, and they made a racetrack up on the hill on 414. A lot of sun here, so I'm going to be putting my I see you're probably being blacked a little bit, so that's too bad, but anyway, try to get that up there a little bit and see what's going on. So I'm sure that the Republicans and the Democrats both have their problems. What's really interesting is I believe that both parties afford each other cover with things they want and don't want to do. But when it comes down to brass tacks, what they do is they vote the way that they're paid to the quid pro quo deals work. For example, in New York City, they held up funding for Democrats. Democrats held up funding for the 9/11 people because somebody didn't want it out there. So what they say and what they do, probably the oxymoron is honesty in government. There's very little. It's a shame that we've done away with earmarks, because earmarks allowed us to get legislation done. Basically, they should have probably, I'd say at least, I don't know, you could probably do $50 million times 5. Let me see, that'd be, I don't know, 2.5 billion, 3.5 billion, I don't know, 30 billion, 40, there was a politician from Oklahoma one time when politicians were sane in Oklahoma, and it was called the Golden Fleece Award. Forgot the guy's name. That's how much we remember politicians. So anyway, the whole idea that there could possibly be any the closest I think we got right now is Warren. But as Mark Twain said, an honest man's a bastard that stays bought. Probably the longer you're there, the more you have to kind of give up. There's a book from the 1970s that I think I read at the university. It was one of the required readings called Getting Straight. And what it was about was selling your soul. It's an English major talking about the British, author Dr. Johnson. And he elects not to get his master's degree based on the fact that the process was, all bullshit, quite frankly. And it had, you know, all those kind of pearls of wisdom that you get. You had alcoholism in there, and you had, you know, the very question about how compliant our sociological needs need to be. Look, I'm 70 years old. The only thing that I can tell you for sure in my whole life that's been consistent is the idea that America stays at fucking war. I mean, it just don't stop. Somebody called me the other night and said, oh, we're bombing ISIS over in Syria. And I'm thinking to myself, let me see. I was born during World War II. Then I lived through Korea and fell in love with Douglas MacArthur at a very young age because John Cameron Swayze gave me the news. Fascinated by it. Been a political junkie since I was 4 or 5 years old. And I've always been a deal where you're supposed to be fair with people. So I guess I've always been a liberal. A liberal is not a socialist.